Picture this for a second. You've got thousands of fans absolutely screaming in unison, sweeping lights cutting through this massive packed arena. There's a giant screen hanging over a brightly lit stage. But down there, nobody's holding a football, nobody's dribbling a basketball. Instead, you've got two teams sitting across from each other, headsets on, hands just flying across keyboards and screens. They are playing a video game. So how exactly did we get here? How did we go from, dark, primitive arcades to this massive global entertainment industry where teenagers are building legitimate, high-stakes professional careers? Well, today, we are unpacking that incredible journey.
There's a saying that perfectly captures this transition. Gaming was once considered a hobby. Then millions began watching. Eventually, the game became a global sport. I mean, think about that. This isn't just about people playing games in their free time anymore. What we're looking at is a massive cultural shift. It's the story of how raw competition transformed into pure entertainment, and how that entertainment erupted into a sprawling multi-billion-dollar industry. It is literally changing how we define the word sport.
Now, before we had millions of viewers tuning in, we had the solitary glow of the arcade machine back in the 70s and 80s. Games like Pac-Man, right, where your only real goal was this lonely drive to just beat the machine and grab that high score. Then the 90s hit, bringing us LAN parties. Suddenly you're in a dark room with computers connected locally, pitting yourself against unpredictable humans sitting literally just a few feet away. But the real game changer? That was the 2000s with internet gaming. Those physical boundaries just completely vanished. Your opponent didn't have to be in the same room anymore. They could be thousands of kilometers away. Basically, the entire internet became a potential arena.
And from that massive web of internet connectivity, 4 PC titans emerged that literally laid the foundation for the modern professional framework. You've got StarCraft, which turned gaming into an absolute cultural phenomenon over in South Korea, proving that yes, people will eagerly watch professional matches on television. Then Counter-Strike came along and defined the deep, strategic ecosystem of the tactical shooter. After that, Riot Games dropped League of Legends, and they structured their esports scene exactly like traditional sports. We're talking professional seasons, regional leagues, and fierce fan bases. And Dota 2? Well, they pushed the boundaries by introducing life-changing multi-million-dollar prize pools. Suddenly, for a kid watching at home, this wasn't just a fantasy anymore. It was a totally viable career path.
But there was a catch. Traditional PC esports demanded powerful, expensive hardware. And naturally, that limited who could actually compete, because not everyone has the cash for a high-end gaming rig. The turning point that flipped the script entirely was the smartphone revolution. Virtually overnight, that expensive hardware barrier was just demolished. Now almost everyone had a gaming device sitting right in their pocket. And just like that, the entire world, especially millions of players across emerging markets, instantly transformed into a potential competitive arena.
One single smartphone. That was literally all it took. With just this one device, mobile gaming completely exploded. Titles like PUBG Mobile essentially redrew the map of competitive gaming forever. Think about it. You didn't need to pack your bags and move to a major city just to get noticed anymore. A teenager sitting in a small town could compete against players globally, build a massive audience, and actually dream of going pro, all from the palm of their hand.
And the game mode that really capitalized on this mobile revolution was the Battle Royale. It is the ultimate recipe for nail-biting tension. You've got dozens of players dropping onto a massive map. Then, as time ticks by, the playable area slowly shrinks, forcing everyone closer and closer together. It is absolute chaos as players are eliminated until only one person or one team is left standing. Every single decision is literally life or death, where you land, when you take a fight, when you run for cover. PUBG helped make this high-stakes survival concept a global phenomenon, and putting it on mobile meant that intense, sweaty palms tension was now sitting in millions of pockets worldwide.
Then, a game called Free Fire came in and pushed this accessibility to the absolute limit. It was intentionally built to run smoothly on a huge range of everyday, low-end smartphones. And honestly, this mattered enormously. By completely removing the hardware barrier, Free Fire unlocked competitive gaming for massive communities across Asia and emerging markets all over the world. It wasn't just a game. It became this daily social gathering. And for a lot of players, it became a legitimate professional lifeline in regions where buying high-end hardware just wasn't even an option.
Now, as the audience skyrocketed, the players themselves started to evolve. Traditional athletes play the game, right? But in modern esports, the player actually becomes a media company. Titles like Fortnite, mixed with platforms like YouTube and live streaming, completely blurred the line between hardcore competitive esports and pure entertainment. Suddenly, a player could broadcast directly to their fans, secure their own independent sponsorships, sell personalized merch, and build these massive online communities. You didn't even necessarily have to win a world championship to become a superstar brand anymore. You just had to be an incredibly entertaining creator.
And just when you think the industry has kind of settled into a rhythm, it evolves all over again. Take Riot Games. They looked at the established formula of the tactical shooter, the one made famous decades earlier by Counter-Strike, and completely reinvented it with Valorant. They introduced unique character abilities and built out this sprawling, highly produced professional ecosystem from scratch. It really just goes to show that esports is this living, breathing entity. It is constantly reinventing itself with fresh leagues and totally new ways to captivate millions of viewers.
But let's take a look behind the screen for a second, because it takes an absolute army to put on these stadium events. It is not just about the person holding the mouse or the phone. Esports has created this massive, robust workforce. You've got strategic coaches crunching data, team managers handling complex logistics, high-energy shoutcasters keeping the audience on the absolute edge of their seats, plus incredibly skilled broadcast crews and dedicated tournament organizers. The game itself is really just the foundation. An entire, sprawling professional business has been built right on top of it. At the absolute heart of esports, though, is this deeply human contrast. On one side, you have the bedroom gamer, alone, wearing a cheap headset, practicing late into the night, completely unknown to the world. And on the other side, the stadium professional, walking out onto a brightly lit stage in a massive arena, competing for life-changing stakes with literally millions of fans watching globally. That journey right there, from an unknown kid grinding in a bedroom to a stadium superstar, that is the modern digital fairy tale that drives this entire industry.
However, if we're going to look at the full picture, we have to acknowledge the dark side, because the path to that stadium is brutally unforgiving. Only a tiny fraction of players ever actually make it to the pro level. Behind those flashy highlight reels are thousands of unseen, grueling hours of practice, which often leads to severe burnout and immense mental pressure. And at the highest level, a single mistake lasting just milliseconds that can devastate an entire championship run. Add in the harsh realities of cheating, constantly shifting game meta strategies, incredibly short career spans, and sometimes unstable organizations, and it becomes painfully clear that this dream demands a heavy human cost.
So we've gone from the dim arcade to the internet to the smartphone, all the way to the massive, packed stadium. The industry has exploded. Which leads me to a pretty pivotal question for you. Where does esports go next? What exactly is going to drive the next generation of competitive gaming?
Well, the possibilities on the horizon are pretty staggering. We're looking at virtual reality creating completely new, fully immersive competitive arenas. Artificial intelligence is poised to fundamentally transform how athletes train and analyze their strategies. Mobile devices are only going to get more powerful, continuing to democratize access across the globe. We'll see streaming environments become fully interactive, completely blurring the line between viewer and participant. And honestly, perhaps the most exciting part, the specific games that will define the next decade of esports, they probably haven't even been created yet.
Think about this. The next global champion, the legendary superstar who is going to completely redefine the digital stadium, is entirely unknown today. They're sitting in a bedroom right now, practicing in the dark, just dreaming of that stage. The tools are in their hands, and the arena is waiting. So, as this massive industry continues to evolve, who will be the one to change the game next?